guys, welcome to the global stamping video hop. I am coming to you for the August. I had to think what month it was then. I was about to say September, but no, we're still in August. And this month, you have to excuse my fingers. I have been doing all kinds of crafting and I had an ink pad explosion. So I think I had misty moonlight go everywhere. So if my fingers are still looking like a smurf, I apologize. So this month we are featuring fun folds, and I couldn't help but play with a new product because I love the new Owl bundle, which is not actually released yet, but will be coming soon. It's from the brand new Mini Catalogue, which I cannot show you the inside of, but it will be going live on September the 6th. If you do not have a copy of this catalogue yet, let me know. If you are in Australia and do not have a demonstrator, hit the link in the description down below. Or if you are a demonstrator, you can actually pre-order this bundle. It is available to order now. So I will show you the bundle that I'm talking about. It is this one here, and I am in love. I know that some people are on the fence about this bundle, but I saw it and just fell in love. I love that it is not just necessarily festive, because I know that this catalogue is known for its holiday products, but this one could be used for so many things. And I'm a Harry Potter nerd and I saw Hedwig. I love that. I love this big owl here that can be used on its own without a die, which is what I've featured in my card today. So it really is the feature of this card. And the feature, well, the idea of this hop is fun folds, and this is really a simple fun fold. So this is what we call a Z fold, and it's really simple to make. But the reason why I wanted to do it with this card is because I wanted the owl to look like it was flying through this autumn scene, the autumn forest. So I wanted to go back to a really simple fun fold, and this forest is actually from another new product, and it is the All About Autumn 6x6 specialty paper, and it has the most beautiful photographic type scenes, which you can do so many different types of beautiful scenes with this one, and it really suits this type of card. So, and also the backs are all foiled, so this is a specialty designer series paper. I'm absolutely in love. Can you see that? Another quick plug is I will actually also be doing a class with this particular suite in September. So the Sweet Card Extravaganza, which you can hit the link down in the description below. I will be doing 4 cards with Donna Gray, doing 4 cards, so 8 projects in total. So not particularly cards, but projects, using the autumn, All About Autumn suite. So including this bundle here with the DSP and the ribbon and the embellishments, which I have used on the card as well. So I've used a little bit of this bundle and a little bit of the embossing folder, the embellishments, the ribbons. I've used a bit of it all in September. So you can see details on how to sign up to that in the description down below. I've also used the deckled rectangle dies, which I'm just in love with. In the catalogue, we've got some deckled circles coming too. And these beautiful embellishments. Look how pretty they are. But enough about the products. I've got to get showing you how to make this fun card. So I've pre-cut my supplies to make it a bit quicker on time, because it is a otherwise I'd be cutting and die cutting all day. So to make this card, I have done it in my metric measurements, but it's really simple to make in imperial as well. So basically this is just a standard card. So any way you look at it, so what is I do have my card templates here because I can never recall off the top of my head the imperial measurements. So what is it, 5.5 by 8.5, so inches. That's the one that goes this way, so whatever that is. but do it the lengthways. I can never remember. So what's this one? These are very faded. So these are the card bases that go the portrait fold. But yes, you want to do your basic standard size card base. I do have my, that's the standard side opening card base. I'm so bad at recalling imperial measurements, but yes, yeah, so it's basically a standard side opening card base, but you want to score it in half, and then this front fold you want to score in half again. So for the metric measurements, what I'm going to do is score mine in half. I really need to clean out my trimmer. It's really advisable to give it a good clean sometimes. And do you know, now we've got our, what do you call it? Online exclusives. Oh, do you know what? I'm like, where has my scoring blade gone? It's only in my trimmer. I have been used to it falling out every time, so I'm not used to it actually being where it's meant to be. So I'm going to score mine at 14.9, which is in half. And I'm just going to fold that in half. So I like to use the top of my trimmer just to make sure that's directly in half. And then what I'm going to do is score this in half again. Now, half of 14.9 is 7.45, I think. So I'm just going to do it roughly just before the 7.5, because I can give it a slight trim if I need to. So what I need to do is fold this, but I want to fold it back on itself. So we've got the Z happening like this. And that's actually pretty spot on. If it's not, you can give it a slight trim. So I'm just gonna give that a nice score like that. And that's giving us our beautiful card base. So that's the bones of our card there. So now the next bit we want to do is put together our designer series paper. So I have gone and pre-cut the pieces that I'll need. Now you could choose whatever designer series paper that you want, but I'm going to go with the pieces that I already had out of the paper. So I chose this beautiful autumn design. Now the tip I have to keep with the seam, so I'm going to pull the same paper out, is I actually cut the seam that I wanted. Now I didn't want to cut, I wanted to keep this piece together. So I didn't want to trim from here because I wanted to keep that hole. So I actually trimmed my piece from the edges here. So I didn't trim any from here. I cut that and kept that piece together. So if you can see, this actually meets in the middle. That is going to join there, so there will be a gap. But if I actually butt that up together, it meets perfectly. So what I have done is cut the measurements for these, because my card is 10.5 that way, I have cut it to 10.3, I believe. But I'm just going to double check that measurement because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. Yes, it's 10.3. Now this piece, I've cut it to 0.2 shorter. So that will be 7 point, 7.3, and that will give us that piece to adhere there. So I'm just going to stick this down as I go. I really don't need to use my fine tip glue in my fine. I've just stuck it into, I should be wearing my glasses. I didn't bring them in. That's going to be really interesting crafting with no glasses on. Okay, so I'm just going to adhere that there. And then this one, sometimes when you don't get the score line perfect or you have to trim some off, it can be a bit hairy, but that one there I've cut to, I think it's the same. Oh no, it was a bit shorter. So I cut this one to 7.2 because I do have the score line that took a bit of a bit of folding, which meant it was a little bit more room. So I have cut this one to a little bit shorter. So this one's 7.2. Oh my goodness, I'm glad. This is why I love using liquid glue, because I've got a bit of wiggle room and my hands are a little bit shaky today. Okay, so then these bits here are the same. It's cold and I am taking a new medication which has been making my hands really shaky. So if anyone can relate, I take anti-epileptic, so neurological medication, and one of the side effects is shaky hands, and it's really frustrating, particularly for fine work like crafting. Okay, so now my tip with this one is just fold this over and just make sure you can't see any of that moody mauve, however you want to say it. Just so you can't see any of it through that gap there. So I just want to line these up and fill in those gaps there. So autumn is my favorite season, but also I found that right now is the perfect time for me to use these, because otherwise we're going to hit summer here in the South Pacific and I feel like it's going to be too warm for me to use these products. So I'm really in the mood to use them right now. Okay, so we've got all of our designer series paper and the bones of our card down. So I'm going to start on my next bit, which is I have pre-cut all of my deckled rectangles down. So what I want to do is start working on those. So I'm just going to pop, I've got a little needle to put in that. So I have pre-die cut those. So I have used, I'm just going to pull them out so I can show you. I have used the 4th smallest of the deckled rectangles to cut out a piece of the Whisper White, wow, the basic white to pop somewhere to write. Then for the front of my card, I have used the 3rd smallest and the 2nd smallest in crumb cake for the front of my card. So they're the pieces that you'll need for there. Now we'll start with the basic white, and we're just going to add a little bit of interest here from the Winter Owl stamp set. I'm just going to pull in this fun branch here and the Moody Mauve ink pad, and I'm just going to stamp just a few of those branches onto that beautiful little background there. And then I'm going to take the Warm Wishes sentiment from the Winter Owls and just stamp that one on. I think I did stamp a couple of these off, which I didn't on this one, but that's okay. Then I do have a little sponge dauber, and I'm going to use some crumb cake ink, and I'm just going to lightly ink the edges of my deckled rectangle. You can use blending brushes for this, but with smaller pieces, sometimes I like to use just a little sponge dauber. You can use either or. And then I'm going to just take a Early Espresso Stamping Right marker, and using the end with the thicker line, I'm just going to take the cap off, and using the cap and the brush tip end, I'm just going to flick a little bit of ink just to add a little bit of interest. And then I'm going to take my Wink of Stella, and giving it a bit of a shake, I'm just going to tap it on the lid to add a little bit of glitter. And then that's our little piece to add a bit of writing, so we can add that into the center piece of our card now. just on this panel here, like that. I'll put the cap back on. So now let's work on our little panel to pop our focal piece on. So I want to take the smaller piece of crumb cake here, and I just want to add, out of the all of our autumn suite comes this distress tiled 3D embossing folder, which is really cute and I love it. So I just want to emboss the smaller little deckled rectangle. Now the handy thing to know about these embossing folders is they have a little line which helps with lining up these pieces. Really great for ones that you particularly want to line up like this. So I'm just going to line that up and I'm just going to run this through my machine, which I'll be 2 seconds. Okay, so that gives you a really nice embossed effect. Doesn't that look pretty? Now to add some extra interest to this piece, I'm just going to take my Whisper White ink pad and I'm just going to run that lightly over the top, which will help to pick up some of that embossed detail. I love my Whisper White ink pad. Really nice for picking up embossed detail. Okay. So now I'm just going to fold over. I'm just going to like distress some of that corner and fold that over, just to add a little bit of extra detail. And then this one can go directly on top of our bigger rectangle, so we can just add a little bit of, actually I think I learnt with my original it was easier to do this bit first, so I think what I'm going to do, I think I learnt from my original. Okay, so let's do this. I'm pretty sure. Let me just check. Yes. Okay. I will learn from my original. Okay, so with the ribbon, this is the natural, I think it's called Natural Tones ribbon from the All About Autumn suite. It comes in a 2-pack and has copper and this more natural, thicker ribbon. If you cut this ribbon and then just pull on the edge like this, it will begin to fray. So if you get one end like this and then begin to do this, it will fray, and then you can choose how long of a piece you want, and you can just discard this or you can use this piece. It's totally up to you. So I'm just going to set that aside because I actually have a piece all ready to use, which I have sat here already. So I'm going to choose to use just a few of them because I won't need too many. My finger's got glue all over it. Okay, so then I'm going to just wrap some of these around. The reason I'm going to do this first is because I kind of want to have a little bit of a mess of them coming off. And what I'm going to do is use, because they're quite hard to adhere, using a stapler before I adhere this down is actually going to help with adhering, rather than using another type of adhesive. Using a stapler is going to be easier. Okay. I use a staple gun quite a bit. We used to sell one at Stampin Up. I do miss it. If you are a demonstrator, definitely use the product suggestion box because I would not mind having one back. Okay, so then what we can do is bring back our glue. And just adhere this piece down. And then we want to add some adhesive, but only to this side, because we don't want to add adhesive on this side because that will impede the card from opening. So only add glue to the left-hand side, to that middle piece there. Okay, so now let's work on our owl. Just going to close up my glue. Okay, so I have pre-cut out my owl. So we need 2 of the wing pieces. So when you get your winter owl dies, it will come with a large owl die that looks like this. So we're going to cut that out of white, and then 2 wing pieces out of gold foil. So I'm just going to take my owl and I want to add a little bit of crumb cake ink, which I'm just going to use the leftover on my sponge dauber and see if that's enough. So I'm just going to add a little bit of definition with the sponge dauber just to my edges, just to make my owl stand out a bit more. Okay. I think that'll be enough. And then I want to add a little bit of glue. Just to the edges of my wings. Now I found that if you add the glue and just let it sit for just a minute, it goes tacky and it will help not wiggle around. So if you just leave it for a second, it's a lot easier. So while that sits, I'm actually just going to add a little bit of Winker Stella to my owl. I really love the sparkle that it adds. So if you just run it over the top, it adds some beautiful sparkle to the owl. Okay. So if we grab these wings, they'll now sit perfectly. I'm hoping my hand stops shaking. Okay, this makes, I can just see myself using this beautiful bundle loads, and it looks so gorgeous with beautiful autumn colors, but as well as dark blues. Love to make one with a night sky theme. Okay, so there's our beautiful big owl, which we're going to sit on top in amongst, oh whoopsie, don't grab it by the wing when it's not properly stuck. Okay, give that a second to dry maybe. Let's do our leaves. So I have pre-die cut some of these leaves. My hands are still a little bit sticky. So the leaves are from the dies that go with the autumn, the All About Autumn suite. And this is a mega set of dies, and this is the, these are the set of dies and stamp set that I'm using in my Sweet Card Extravaganza for September that you'll see linked down below. Such a gorgeous set, so I'll be making some beautiful projects with this one. Well, I have die cut out 3 of these out of crumb cake, and I'm just going to add a little bit of copper clay ink with a blending brush to these. The copper clay is the coordinating colour to the DSP, so I thought it would look really beautiful just to add a little bit of that to the edges. Another really cool thing to do with these would be to add some of the gilded leafing as well, which I thought about, but I thought, oh, I've got a lot going on to this card now, so I thought I'll tone it down a little bit and I'll just stick to some copper clay. So I want to bring that in, and then you can probably focus some darker concentrate to the top of the ink. So I want to really make it darker towards the tips of those leaves. Okay. Now the other piece we can probably do while that dries off a little bit is bring in a scrap of basic black. And I'm just going to prep that with our embossing buddy. And then the sentiment I'm going to use is from the Winter Owls again. And I'm going to use the "May you have time to enjoy the quiet moments of this season." And I'm going to do that in some Versamark and heat emboss in some white. So I'll just ink that up. And grab my white embossing powder. Now you will have to make sure that's all good. You will have to excuse my heat gun. So I now am not using a Stampin' Up heat gun because the other day my Stampin' Up heat gun blew up. But I'm not going to pick on it because it did last a good 6 years. So I got some good mileage out of my Stampin' Up heat gun, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with the Stampin' Up heat gun. It just had many years of life out of it, and I didn't have time to order a new one before I would have needed one for an event this weekend. So I'm having to use a non-Stampin' Up one. Okay, this one's it's a lot hotter than the Stampin' Up one. Okay, so now I'm going to add, actually what I might do is add some of this first. So with my copper clay stamping right marker, I'm just going to open my card up, and with the thick end again, I'm going to open my cap and spritz some copper clay onto my right hand panel and up here on my left hand panel there. And I just want to do that before I start adding my owl on. So I'm going to bring in some stamping dimensionals now, and I want to add these onto the back of my owl, but I want to add them into places you're not going to see them. So you'll see that there's little peek through pieces that you'll be able to see through. So I want to make sure I add them in places that are not so obvious, so you'll be able to see where to add them. And then I'll take the backings off. And then I can bring this in and make sure I can't see any of my pieces on the back. And then I can add my leaves in. So I might just grab some glue dots actually. Might be the easiest. So I think I did this before, or no, I did it after I put my sentiment on. So when I design a card, I tend to do things very bizarrely. I move things a lot. But now that I know where things are going, it's a bit easier. Okay, so I've got embossing powder everywhere. Let's trim our sentiment now. So I'm just going to pop this into my trimmer. Now I think I just need to, oh, that's a scoring page. That's not going to work. Just going to, I love the Stampin' Up trimmer. It is so easy to use. Definitely the best trimmer I have ever had. So easy to line up as well. Okay, pop that to the side, And then we can pull those back in, and I'm just going to trim my sentiment. It was funny, when I made my original, I stuck my sentiment down and realized that I had stuck the words in the wrong order. So the sentiment, when I went to read it at the end, I was like, that sentiment really doesn't make sense. I was like, wow, okay, another coffee needed today. So I'm just going to work out, I think I've stuck my owl a little bit further over this time. I like to line things up before I stick them. Make sure I'm happy with where they're going. And then I will get my adhesive out and stick. Okay, I don't know if I should move the out over. Down a little bit. It's just a little bit high up. Okay. This is the serious bit of the card, you know, deciding where things will go. I hope my washing machine is not too loud for you all. Okay. Let's get the tape. Okay, I'm going to use my foam adhesive strips because I'm going to stick my sentiment up on an adhesive strips, and I just found, because they're strips anyway, I just thought it would be easier. But these are, note, these are a little bit higher than dimensional, so they do have a little bit more height to them. Okay. We're almost done. Then this last one, because it's going to be sitting on the owl a bit, we only want to stick some 3D adhesive to one side, and then we'll pop a little bit of glue where it's going to sit on top of the owl. Now I just want to make sure I might actually pop just another dimensional underneath my owl there. Hopefully you couldn't just see my head. Okay. Okie dokie. So then we want to add a little bit of embellishment. So I'm going to bring in my little dots here and my take your pick tool, and I'm going to add some of these pretty dots. So I'm going to add a few of those in and around, and I'm going to add some of the Moody Mauve ones and a couple of these little vanilla tone ones. I used to hoard the embellishments, but now not so much. I figure, you know what, they're there to use. So I've got a few of those, and then I'm going to spritz the whole card with glitter because it's there to be pretty and lots of glitter. So there we have it. A pretty 3D Z-fold card. Lots of glimmer and glamour, and it looks like the owl is flying through those woods. I think it's so much fun. I've used three different bundles really. So I've used the autumn leaves and the winter owl. I've got stuff all over my desk. I don't even know where I put that winter owl, but oh, there we go. And I've used the winter owl, as well as the deckled rectangles, which have gone missing as well. So I've used lots of different product. I've used also the new All About Autumn paper, some new embellishments, as well as some ribbons. So lots of new stuff on this project today, as well as a fun way to show how to use that paper in fun perspective, so you're not cutting through, it looks like it's one whole piece. So I hope you like seeing how to do that, and a fun way to use lots of new product and that really fun owl. I absolutely loved using it. So I hope you had fun. Be sure to check out the links below to all the other fun YouTube channels taking part in the Global Video Hop. And we shall see you back next month. Check out all the links to the products I've used today, which are available in my online store. And thanks as always for supporting my little business. I have linked the blog post, which will show more pictures of my project today and some more information about my little business. So thanks as always for watching, and happy crafting. Bye guys.